Who are the top 10 screenwriters of all time? Today, we're looking at the top 10 screenwriters of all time based on worldwide box office numbers. And here's something surprising to me. George Lucas isn't in the top 10. I'm Jay Sherer, co-writer of the full cast audiobook and novel Death of a Bounty Hunter, a supernatural steampunk western. And if you want more info on this list and the top 10 screenwriters who appear on it, check out the reference link in the description down below. Here are the top 10 screenwriters of all time based on worldwide box office numbers. Kicking off our list at number 10, Andrew Stanton. Andrew's movies have grossed over $5.6 billion at the box office. His most notable films are all Pixar films, including the Toy Story franchise. And because Pixar has grown into an internationally recognized brand, it's no surprise that Andrew comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, Chris Morgan. Chris Morgan's movies have made over $5.8 billion worldwide. What have you seen that Chris has written? His biggest films have been part of the Fast and the Furious franchise, but he also wrote 47 Ronin, Cellular, and Wanted. At number 8, Philippa Boyens. Philippa's movies have made over $6 billion worldwide, and it's highly likely that you recognize her work. She has collaborated with Peter Jackson on many of his films, including the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit franchise. She's also credited for Gollum's 2003 acceptance speech at the MTV Movie Awards. Fun fact. At number 7, David Koepp. $6.1 billion. That's how much David's films have made at the box office. I'd be shocked if you haven't seen at least one of David's films. He hangs out with some of the biggest directors and producers in Hollywood and has written multiple films for Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise. He wrote one of my favorite films of all time, Jurassic Park. He also wrote Spider-Man, Mission Impossible, and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which we'll forgive him for.
The UFO subject is very, very, very real.
Coming in at number 6, Fran Walsh. Fran's movies have brought in over $6.5 billion in worldwide box office. Like Philippa, she's a frequent collaborator with Peter Jackson, which means she has been involved in the screenwriting of many of his films. She's also collaborated with Peter Jackson to produce 2 children. Yes, Fran Walsh is Peter Jackson's wife. Talk about a powerful screenwriting couple. Fran is also credited for an underappreciated film, in my opinion, The Frighteners. Now, number 5, Peter Jackson. We saw Philippa's name on this list. We just saw Fran's name on this list, so it was bound to happen. Peter Jackson has arrived. Technically, Peter and Fran both have the same box office numbers, so it might be more accurate to say that they're actually tied at the number 5 spot. Either way, they're still in the top 10 of some of the most crowd-pleasing screenwriters of all time. Coming in at number 4, James Cameron. Speaking of crowd pleasers, James Cameron knows how to write films that people flock to, which means he's likely one of the best high concept screenwriters of all time. Many of the screenwriters on this list, including the remaining top 3, have built careers based on content they adapted for the screen. Not so with James Cameron. His massive revenue generating franchises came from his own mind. His movies have grossed over $6.9 billion. If you want to write an original film that makes a lot of money, take a look at what James Cameron has done. At number 3, Stephen Kloves. Just about everyone knows James Cameron, but many may not be as likely to recognize our number 3 screenwriter. That is, until you hear that he has been involved with adapting most of the Harry Potter books for the screen. Stephen Kloves has helped generate over $7.3 billion in box office revenue worldwide. By the way, as a side note, J.K. Rowling made the top 10 writers list based on the number of books she sold, and one of the screenwriters she collaborates with makes it onto the top 10 earning list for screenwriters. J.K. Rowling is a money-making machine. Before we get to our number 1 and 2 screenwriters, I would appreciate it if you would consider supporting this channel by purchasing my book, Death of a Bounty Hunter. It's a supernatural steampunk western about a bounty hunter who must confront the widow of a man he murdered. And it was a semi-finalist in Screencraft's cinematic book competition. The link to purchase Death of a Bounty Hunter is in the description down below. Stick around after the number 1 and 2 screenwriters for a special audio preview. And coming in at a tie for number 1 and number 2, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. If you don't recognize their names, you most certainly will recognize their movies, including multiple entries in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like all 3 Captain America films, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame, plus Thor: The Dark World. But we'll let that slide. Prior to their MCU fame, Marcus and McFeely were also involved in Disney's Narnia franchise. Obviously, these franchises have made a lot of money, and that looks like over $9.3 billion in worldwide box office. That's $2 billion above the 3rd place finisher. In other words, America's still number 1. There you go, those are the top 10 screenwriters of all time based on their worldwide box office take. Did your favorite screenwriter make the top 10? And how in the world did George Lucas not make the top 10? Let me know in the comments down below. Please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And if you like this video, please click the thumbs up for me. Thanks for watching, and here's the trailer for my book, Death of a Bounty Hunter, which is also available as a full cast audiobook. Keep writing, keep grinding, and I will see you on the next video.
From the co-writers of the Amazon top-selling serial story, Timeslingers, comes a new, full-cast audiobook, Death of a Bounty Hunter, a supernatural steampunk western. 14 different characters voiced by 11 professional voice performers. A Korean bounty hunter named Flint finds himself in the middle of an occult plot to steal a powerful relic from an innocent woman.
Get me the Iron Spur, and I will show you true power.
Caught between the desperate sheriff who's becoming unhinged at the worst possible time.
He mutters the word like a curse dipped in sarcasm. I draw my gun and shoot him between the eyes.
And the phantom woman haunting his nightmares.
The living always think the dead are worse off.
Flint will have to make a choice, confront the sheriff's posse of misfits or run. But he's losing time. An ogre of a man with a Gatling gun for an arm. The brash and headstrong Pinkerton agent, Geraldine Abernathy, and a young, speedster idiot ludicrously named Fancy Dude. They'll all converge at the home of a widow who's lost everything but possesses the relic they all desire, the Iron Spur.
Damn that trinket to hell. I don't care what it is or what it does or why the Duskfinders want it. I care about my children.
Death of a Bounty Hunter, the weird western you've been waiting for. Available on www.deathofabountyhunter.com.